Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Whoa! Calm down. We're going to be here for an hour.
I'm telling you what, they haven't calmed down since last Saturday.
No, they haven't. What about them balls? All righty, folks, we're here for you. Even the Alabama fans.
Yeah, I mean,
We won't rub it in at all during the show, I'm sure.
Well, we know one thing for certain, that
What's
the
that?
Alabama fans would not rub it in.
No.
No, never.
No.
Well, yeah, once in maybe once in every 6 times in a century.
The Vols beat Alabama.
It doesn't matter. We
so-
won last weekend.
We did win last weekend, and
Yes, we did.
for a year, we get the relative quiet.
My daughter was nervous.
Yes, she was. She was nervous.
She was there with 757,629 of her closest personal friends because everyone will have been at that football game.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All righty. Hey, we don't talk about football normally.
Well,
on the
no,
At Home Show.
but we would have been remiss
can.
if we hadn't started off that way because
by tweaking it and picking that scab just a little bit, right?
it's just a game, right?
No.
Hey, here's the weather. How about that?
No.
Today's Saturday, the 22nd of October.
It
The
is.
month is getting by really
Golly
fast.
Moses.
And we're going to have mostly cloudy conditions, or I'd say partly cloudy. 79 degrees. It's really going to be a nice day. A good day to get out, do whatever you're planning on doing, particularly if you want to get out and dig in the dirt. You don't have, huge football rivalry games to distract you today. So you can get out there and do that and enjoy digging in the dirt and just being outside, whatever you're doing. Have a picnic. It's nice today. It's going to be nice tomorrow. Going to be nice Monday. 79, 80, 81. Those are all really nice temperatures. A chance of rain on Tuesday, which we will welcome. 4,500s is what my little prognosticator says here. So, there's plenty of time for that to change between now and Tuesday.
Right.
To dwindle away to a sprinkle. On Wednesday, we cool back down 66, 46, 70. 48 Thursday, 73, 52 Friday, and a chance of showers again next week. So it says, what does it mean? It means nothing. It's a week away. And currently it is 46 degrees here at the live from the Green Room, Bates Nursery Weather Station, monitoring that. And, of course, you can always see that information out on Weather Underground. So there you are.
Absolutely.
Live from the At Home Show.
Yep, and on YouTube. Hey, we need for you guys to interact because I think we have an official new handle, don't we, Tyler?
Yes, it should be coming online soon. They said that I
got that notification as well.
Yeah, they asked us to
Change
make
the
a
handle.
handle. So it's at the At Home Show. It's
Handle.
super simple.
Uh-huh.
It's just like all our other social media, including Instagram, which, by the way, you should follow us on there too, because you can ask us questions
Yes.
that we can queue up and answer live on the air.
Yeah. And we're actually, I don't know how great
Plus
the
Facebook.
answers are, but we're pretty good about answering them. We do give an answer. Actually, I have a relatively good sense of confidence in the answers we give out. We just have a little fun along the way, and we do that. We've got an expert panel in today. Sitting in for Caroline today is Austin. Austin Lowen is here today. Good morning, Austin. And sitting in for Austin today is Adam Chapman. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning.
Yes, there is. Yes, you need to get. Hi, this is Tyler, and this is Tyler.
Oh, okay.
We're
So-
both usually not available, though.
Well,
At the same time.
back in the day, I always used to run with the evil twin theory. That whenever someone would report to maybe my not behaving as well as I should, I said, no, that's my evil twin. He's bad for that kind of thing. So fortunately, hasn't been any sightings of him in a while, and that's a good thing. Okay, so check us out. You can reach us through any of our social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, and you can do it through the At Home Show pages there or through the Bates Nursery pages of those as well.
Please like and share across all the platforms.
Yeah, and put that out there.
Send stars, send tips.
Yeah.
Send,
subscribe, like,
pins.
thumbs up.
Yep.
We do have a tipping available on YouTube. Well, actually, sorry, that's on Bates Nursery's YouTube.
Okay.
But it's called Super Thanks, so I just learned about that as well.
Okay, well, super thanks to all of you for tuning in today. We really
Indeed.
appreciate that. So I take it, Tyler, since Caroline is not here today, that you are going to be the dispenser of all questions today. Is that correct?
That assumption is very educated.
okay.
And
Unless Josh happens to come up with one on the At Home Show Facebook page.
Yes.
So
We
which
might
we
monitor
will
the.
be monitoring all of our channels.
so
And I think
before-
we missed one last week.
So
we'll
before
go
we
back.
get into all of that,
Oh, yeah, maybe we should get that one that was missed on the Bates page.
Yep.
and before we get to that, I just
Okay.
want to give Austin and Adam, the A and A of the group here, a chance to. Is there anything in particular that you want to bring about? Does anything you want to talk about horticulturally that's been problematic, bugging you, observation, something that is
Why do I feel it's sad?
is abnormally dry?
Right. Yes. Well, it's not a drought technically, but you just need to be mindful that yes, it's getting cooler. Yes, plants are going dormant, but
They still
even
have water
in the
needs.
winter, even in the winter, if it's gone a week or more, you might want to water your newly planted stuff at least. So
And don't forget those conifers, particularly arborvitaes, that are not deep-rooted plants.
Right.
They are highly susceptible. And I suspect if they have survived to this point, you have been watering them, because those who didn't, even if they've been in the ground 5 or 6 years, it doesn't matter. You would have lost some this
Yes.
summer,
Yes.
almost certainly,
Yes.
if you didn't have irrigation or dragging the hose. out
Also,
there.
I've had a few guys call me about landscapers that have planted them recently, and even they've started to shed. The arborvitaes are kind of doing their shedding thing, and I think it looks a little worse this year because of the drought conditions. So so
Now I know you've got green giant arborvitaes at your home.
Yes, sir.
And and have you done additional watering on those this year?
Yes, I've watered them twice. I watered them back in late June, when the first dry period, and then I've watered them about a week ago,
And when was the last time prior to that you watered them?
2012.
Yeah. Yeah. And the ones that I've got a line of them here, we planted I think about 4 years ago, and watered them once in 2017, and then I watered them 3 times
This year.
this late summer. So it's a difference maker, and you can see the color change them from that approaching an olive color to back to a vibrant green. So don't ignore your plants is the operative phrase there.
Yes.
So all right. So,
Also, though, I think we do need to differentiate. Adam mentioned the natural shed of conifers, which is typical of this time of year. You notice
Right.
the big pine trees around town. Half of them are, all of them are half yellow, half green. Arborvitaes are no different. They have a lot of yellow on the interior of the plant, and if they're healthy, they're green on the outside. So we're getting a lot of phone calls right now about people a little bit worrying about those. That's a natural shed. That's different than what David was talking about, which is the off color of the whole plant.
but as you alluded, it probably is being exacerbated a bit
Yes.
by
What
the
kind of baby?
excessive exacerbated.
That's your cousin, isn't it?
He's a distant second cousin, thrice removed.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, it definitely makes it worse.
Yes. This year, the shed has been a little bit worse.
right.
I know. I observed a picture yesterday on the email that we get. We get a lot of pictures of people that are a little bit worried about their plants. And we had a thread branch cypress, which is a really good plant, actually, for this area. It's a conifer that lives very well. But she had a lot of shed. I mean, more so than usual. And I had to just kind of tell her, I'm sorry, but it was just kind of this year. We had a lot of, the drought conditions, the heat conditions, and it just really stressed them more than usual. So her plant was a little bit more shedding from the interior than it would usually. So I just kind of had to tell her, you kind of just have to wait until spring and watch the new flush happen, and hopefully you won't see the interior of that plant. But it's just been a stressful year for conifers in Middle Tennessee.
They could probably go in there in the spring and lightly shear it back and fertilize it and get a new flush, and it'll be good as
1.2 gallons at least.
Yeah.
at least 1.2. So what is the question presented to us, Josh?
The question first, this one's from this week, is Linda Guest Clater wants to know, is it too late to put compost on my plants?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's never too late to put compost on.
Never.
You can, and the great thing about compost is you're adding not just the ability for the plants to take on more organic material, thereby increasing the moisture holding capacity. If you use the right compost, such as Earth Mix Supernatural,
Yep. That's the one.
you really are adding a lot of vitality to the soil. And when I say vitality, I don't mean chemical fertilizers. There's none of that kind of thing in it. But it's naturally occurring microbes, endo and ecto mycorrhiza, humic acid, all those things that really add a lot of vim and vigor to your soil. And so it's absolutely a great time to do that. And the great thing about using a compost, you cannot over apply it. So it's not going to be in any way injurious. So you don't have to be concerned about it like you would be a chemical fertilizer. It's technically not a fertilizer, but your plants don't know that.
Right. They don't know the difference. They just encounter the nutrients in the soil. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, plug. It's a good plug. Very valuable.
Well, also what I was going to say to add to that is if for whatever reason the supernatural compost breaks the bank for you, you can always do magic, which is the mushroom compost.
Yeah, buddy.
Right.
It's good too. So just on its own.
There you are.
Excellent.
Okay. We have a ton of questions.
Okay, well, we'll just plow
So,
through them then.
Yeah, here we go. One, should be pretty cut and dry, everyone.
Should be.
It should be. Hey, we've had no rain to speak of.
Yeah, pretty dusty. Do pomegranate trees grow here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, you don't reliably get fruit, but
Yeah.
they
Right.
will grow here.
Yeah, the growing season here is not long enough really to get.
If they're in the
Great fruit.
right spot in a protected area and it's favorable conditions, my Uncle Joe had one at his house that used to get some tremendous fruit on it. I used to love it, but it was on a south-facing side up next to the house, so it would get some protection. So you need to give a little thought as to where you're placing it, but if you can do that, your chances of it surviving from year to year are excellent, and every few years you'll actually have a good crop of pomegranates.
And maybe don't expect it to, come back from its old stems. Give it some time in the spring. It may take some warmer days to really get that to regrow from the roots rather than the stems.
Yeah, not unlike figs.
Right.
Figs, it can be very herbaceous, and you essentially die down to the ground level.
I forgot to bring the one that I brought you into the studio. I have one, a brown turkey out in the truck.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that after. All right.
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
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 Winter or year-round interest companions to rose and lavender.
I'm kind of partial to a chihuahua in that situation.
I don't think that's the answer.
No.
You can certainly
Kitty cat?
use conifers.
Yes.
We've got excellent dwarf conifers that could pair well with roses and lavender, I guess. Lavender stays up here for the most part. Not always. It gets a little wet. People talk about the lavender and rosemary getting a little cold here. It's not necessarily cold here for those two. It's wet over the winter.
Yeah, and I think really, winter time kills them because we get a lot of rain in the winter
Yes.
some years, yeah.
And they don't like wet feet or our heavy clay soils at all. So if you have them in that type of scenario, they won't stay up. Now, companion plants for that, for winter interest, like I said, there's a lot of dwarf conifers out there that you can kind of pair with that to give you some interest over the winter. Using also like winter color, pansies obviously are going to be, good for the, some color for the winter time. But roses are fairly ugly over the winter, let's be honest. They kind of just sticks. So yeah, getting some evergreen color out there maybe is the way to go.
And the great thing about using conifers in conjunction, particularly with lavender, is that if you plant one of them in the right spot in the right way, the chances are the other has a much better chance of survival. And lavender in particular, as you've already mentioned, they're very sensitive to wet feet. So if you can elevate the area just a bit, maybe plant it where the water falls away on all sides, if you've got a little bit of a high spot, Those are great places to locate not just the lavender, but also conifers that will also suffer if they stay too wet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there you go. Moving along.
Awesome.
Through the questions.
Moving right along. Let's see here. I have 2 plum trees needing pruned now or spring.
Prunes don't come
In
from
between
plums.
now and spring, actually. Yeah. So let them drop dormant totally. Let's make sure it's cold outside, real cold. That's whenever, nothing's really happening, coming up the plant much. That's whenever we're going to do our pruning. And yeah, certainly fruit trees, all fruit trees around here. I mean, you've got to prune them, y'all. You got to get on a regimen. You can't just let them be pretty little trees. A good looking single stem to a round canopy tree for a fruit tree is not really what you want. Yeah, it looks pretty to you, but that's not what you want for good fruit production, good airflow, good sunlight to the interior. That's really what we want to achieve with plums. So, and really all fruit trees. So, pruning is certainly something you need to do, but we're going to do that when it's dead dormant. I mean, just
now let's talk a little more specifically about that, guys. About how you approach doing that. You know, with a lot of trees and shrubs, you might just kind of prune them all over, but you don't. As you just mentioned or alluded to, the fact that you take a different approach with fruiting trees. You need to get in there and open it up, actually remove some limbs, because you don't want to, if you cut it back all over, you're not going to have any fruit at all or very little. So what are people thinking about?
You want to be judicious.
Judicious.
Wow, I got that right. Got it right.
So adjudicate carefully is what you're saying.
So you know, obviously you want to eliminate like any crossing limbs and all that kind of stuff first, and then after you've done that, maybe even that's enough. You just want to be able to it's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of a visual thing where you just kind of know that there's enough open space within the tree. So,
or say you have like limbs that are, 2 limbs that are going in the exact same direction. One of them's going to get shaded out. You want to remove one of those. It's better to just take it. Don't even think about it. Just say it's not going to be productive.
Guts, no glory.
Get rid of it. Yeah. Any leftover fruit. Go ahead, Tyler. What are you doing?
Well, there it is. So that's shading, right? So there's a branch on top that you'll need to remove that's shading the one that has to be the right angle.
Or vice versa,
That's
possibly.
crossing.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. There could be one underneath.
And we really like...
thought you were Madonna over there for a second.
I thought he was giving us an isosceles triangle is what he was trying to do there. But
yeah. And also what we really want is nice, wide, obtuse angles. Right? Obtuse, not acute.
What is that? Is that called a crotch angle?
Yes, it is.
Careful.
I know.
That's what it's called.
So crotch angles, we want to not look like this. More like this.
Yes.
Nice and open. That's going to, it actually, you wouldn't think it. You would think that an angle like this would hold itself up better. It does not on a tree. It snaps like Bradford pear. I know y'all, and your Bradford pears, you hate them.
We can talk about trimming those later.
Yeah, we can do that later. But all of those angles, really, Bradford pear wants to go upright like that. And that's why you see the amount of splitting that you do with the Bradford pear.
It's glorious.
So, the really good, wide, open angles is what we want to keep.
Now, one thing I will also mention while we're talking about fruit trees and in the winter and care, you may want to, after you've done your pruning, get you a mix of horticultural oil or dormant oil and just go ahead and spray it down.
Yeah, buddy.
And really coat it well.
It's the best money you can spend towards prevention of a pest for the coming year.
Definitely. And any leftover stems that have like a rotten fruit on it or something, you'll see this a lot with fruit trees. If you've grown them, apples, peaches, you'll see like little, what we call like mummified fruits. They're like gray and they kind of cling to the stem. Get rid of all that. Yeah, you do not need that on there. Just keep it clean. Clean is the biggest thing with fruit trees because they are not clean trees through the season. Not in Middle Tennessee, y'all. They've got issues, bugs and fungus mainly.
Okay, question meister. Bring us the next one.
Here
please.
we go. Any way to stop the squirrels digging into new plants?
No,
not at all.
Well, I'll go back.
We're so hopeful here.
I'll go back to my default answer to that, which is if you're in the country, yes, there's
one way.
Yeah, there is a way.
Well, and if you live in the city, if you live in the city, there's another way. It's called the Witness Relocation Program, which I have participated in, and you will create a void for a period of time by trapping them and taking them to the country. But as
if
we
they want to go,
as we know, nature abhors a vacuum. Josh,
no, they much prefer a push broom.
So.
And probably advise any TWRA guidance on that, just to make sure.
I will tell you by what Josh and I have learned from our good friend Doug Markham, who was with TWRA for many years that we did our program just after his, is so long as you have permission, they can be relocated to a friend's property. You got to have permission. You can't go release them in a public park or that kind of thing.
So if Corey Smith, the yard boy, says we can bring everything to Petersburg, does that count?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that there are laws across transporting county lines. I don't really know.
I've heard that Nashville squirrels would make a fine export, actually.
Well,
they accept imports from Shelbyville.
I can tell you with certainty, I have neighbors who hunted White's Creek out of squirrels years ago. Completely, they were gone. Mm-hmm. And twice I did a 30-day, 30 squirrel per time. Seriously, how
did you get that many at once?
I know, one per day. Squirrels? I got one every day for 30 days.
Did you have 2 different squirrel corral?
They
are tree rats, Tyler.
Yeah. Okay. I transported them, and now, as you can see, there are squirrels back in White's Creek again.
Adam, have you ever tried frozen paintballs?
No,
that really
that is a good idea. That probably would work.
I will have to say, though, one of the best delicacies I've ever had was squirrel and dumplings. And if you haven't had those in a while, shout out to my friends Hawker Smiths out in Tullahoma.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've thoroughly covered that. We're moving on. Dogwood anthracnose on old trees. Should I treat now?
No, not now. It's too late now. You need to do this in the spring, especially if it's an old dogwood. Anthracnose happens with dogwoods in Middle Tennessee almost yearly, at least a little bit. Not all, good, happy, healthy trees tend to not get it near as bad, but older plants that are, starting to fade out, and as they do, trees don't just die real quickly. It takes them years typically to die. But old dogwoods certainly can get that. But no, now's not the time to do it. If you do want to try to treat with a fungicide, let's do that in the spring and prevent it from happening, because once it happens, you've pretty much got it.
And you might consider planting in some other areas nearby anthracnose resistant dogwoods that will Cornuscusa or a lot of the hybrids
Cherokee
they're all anthracnose resistant. So
protect them, because those old
get those coming along, because ultimately, if you're not really diligent, you will likely lose the battle with anthracnose. It can move in and be very destructive.
Mm-hmm. Be clean below your tree too after the leaves fall off. Get those out of there.
Would dormant oil help with that too?
I think it would. I don't see why it wouldn't.
So.
Yeah. And never use a string trimmer around the bottom of particularly your dogwoods. I have seen them destroyed by that. Do not ever do that.
Hey, and speaking of dogwoods, they are gorgeous right now. Are they not?
Yeah.
Fall color, yeah.
Good Lord, they're pretty this year. There's a lot of stuff that's pretty,
especially with fruit hanging on them, and
the red fruit with the really burgundy leaves. It's a show right now.
My girlfriend keeps pointing out. She's like, "What's that one?" I'm like, "That's a dogwood." What's that one? Dogwood.
I know everyone thinks about their spring flower show, and that is gorgeous as well. But man, fall color is money this year. Really pretty.
MRP Mims wants to know, is it too early to prune roses?
Miriam,
what up?
I got to see Miriam this week.
You did?
I got to see her and Bob today, and I had dinner with them. So thank you, Miriam, for that.
And you have to wait until after the show to prune your roses.
Well, it would not be proper to do it now.
So it is too early, technically.
I mean, you technically could pause it and go out and do it and come back, but
because we are available 24 hours a day.
Sure. Absolutely,
366 days a year, even.
Absolutely. Hey, while we're pausing here for just a second, just let me give you a moment to think about Earth Mix Garden products. And one of the reasons that people have success in gardening in Middle Tennessee and Kentucky and much of the area around is that we've made believers out of them with regard to the success that they're able to achieve in their garden using Earth Mix Garden products. We already talked about Supernatural, which is a great product, especially if you're into organic gardening, but it's also a great top dress for anything this time of year. people who had the best success in surviving the drought conditions we've had this summer are those who used Earth Mix Landscape with their planting mix when they dig out the hole, incorporating that in there and giving the roots the best opportunity to become established as quickly as possible. Those are the things that you can do, but you can only do those kinds of things when you are actually planting. So that's where I think Earth Mix is particularly important. Of course, many people are into container gardening these days, be it vegetable gardening by the square foot type fashion, or actually in decorative containers on the patio or on the porch.
Or the lanai.
Or the lanai, if you prefer.
Yes.
Using Proganics O, or and if you're doing indoor plants, Caroline would be quick to tell you to use Proganics I. And of course, it has no peat in it. Nope. And if you think, well, what difference does that make? But if you like fungus gnats, you should not use it because it will not attract fungus gnats, and they are very annoying. So Earth Mix garden products have no peat in them at all, so you will never get fungus gnats as a result of that. What you'll get is really successful, beneficial growing without having to use chemical fertilizers to grow them for the first couple of months at least. They are naturally fertile soil, so check them out. Go out to the website earthmix.net and click on the Find Earth Mix tab you see right here in the corner. And once you click on that, you're going to see the map come up. It has all the pins all over Middle Tennessee and Kentucky and even to southern Indiana. So quite a lot of locations around. We're adding more all the time. We've added a couple of new dealers this week to the network. So make sure you check that out. And just remember this, support those independent garden centers and businesses that sell Earth Mix products.
If they don't have it, kick the door down and demand it.
And do remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products. And we appreciate you giving us a moment to discuss that and help you to have success in your gardening.
Absolutely true. Every word you said, my friend.
Now, in answer to her question, shrub roses, you can prune just about any time.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
anytime.
We did have a question back there, didn't we?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we kind of answered it, but
we approached it.
I kind of
looked at it real good.
I jumped in there and watched over it, and so good pullback there.
Jake Dickerson comments on the At Home Show page. He remembers the original derivation of what frozen paintballs were actually used for. David Bates, do you remember what they were?
I think that would be in paintball battles. If you wanted to,
no. Dost thou not remember when trick or treaters were accosted by streakers in Smyrna, Tennessee?
How do I not know about this?
Oh my goodness, we had streakers in front of I think, who was it? It was Harry Potter and somebody else.
I think you want them not frozen solidly.
Oh yeah,
but,
you pick out a cheek.
What if you're going to freeze them? It doesn't matter what color they are because they don't bust. They just sting
really bad and bruise. Mm.
Anyway,
a great deterrent.
Okay.
All right.
Moving right along.
We've got a special treat for you, and I figured that now is probably the best time to reveal.
Is it ice cream?
3:30.
This video that Caroline and I made because we took a field trip.
All right, field trip.
We took a field trip to the pumpkin patch.
Everybody likes a field trip,
and I guess I didn't bring her back with me because
she's not here.
She's not here. So
she's a great pumpkin?
We'll have to find out what happened.
Okay.
So without further ado.
Or don't.
Good morning, Caroline here. We are at Bradley Country Acres and we're going to take a little pumpkin tour. Where are you, little pumpkins? We're coming to find you. Here we come. Where are them pumpkins at? We're on our way to the pumpkin patch. There they are. Wow, look at all these pumpkins.
Holy
so
smoke.
many pumpkins, so little time. Hipster t-shirt pumpkins are always a smash. That looks like a great spot for a nap. Look at that one. Holy guacamole. Let's talk about how to pick out a pumpkin, shall we? Now, when you walk out into your pumpkin patch, you'll want to look for a nice, healthy-looking pumpkin. No little rotten dots, no bugs on it, just all the fun spookiness that a pumpkin brings to you year after year. Now, when you find that pumpkin, you're going to want to make sure it's got a nice, good stem on it that comes all the way to the base of the pumpkin and stays attached. And then you'll know you found your new best friend. Whoa, look at this guy. Wow, I think I found my pumpkin. The weirder, the better. All right, so we have talked about what kind of pumpkin we want to look for, the best kind. Let's talk about the ones not to look for. Now, we love spooky things. It's Halloween after all. Sometimes it can get a little too spooky. Take a look at this bad girl down here. Now, I would say this is a pumpkin that you probably want to steer clear of. Oh, wow. Hashtag squad gourds. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. It's just so cozy and fall-like here at the farm. Well, I guess that's it for our tour today. Thanks for joining us.
All right, that is quite the production there.
That was good.
Very well.
So, and thank you, Caroline. Says she made it to the show today, even in her absence.
Yes, she did, and I think she's probably still napping on the pumpkins.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Did you find a great pumpkin?
You know, I don't think we did.
I thought Charlie Brown had that.
Now, I will say this. As far as years go where the conditions are right for growing pumpkins, this has been one of those years. A big nemesis to pumpkins is excessively wet weather. We have not had that.
Right.
Wow.
Been a good year for pumpkins.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good.
Okay.
All right, moving right along. Let me hop back to our questions here. Do you need, did I ask that already? Do you need to winterize potted hollies and laurels?
Winterize them.
Winterize.
Define winterize.
Yeah.
I guess because they are potted,
weather
do I need to
stripping,
do anything because they're in pots?
Well, really, the biggest thing you have to worry about is freezing conditions, obviously, like deep freeze conditions, really. And
Define that. Give us a number.
I would say you want the roots to stay above 17 degrees.
There you go.
If you do not do that, you will have root damage from the cold. So you can insulate them by watering them before the cold weather gets here. The real cold weather gets here. That helps. Or you can wrap them in a blanket, or you can put whatever you want to put around them to try to insulate them. But the best thing to do would be to put them in the garage for however many nights it's going to be that cold. So
now, traditionally, if to keep the soil temperature at or above 17 degrees, and you're only talking about a night or two, if it's not going down below about 10 degrees and you have them thoroughly soaked, you're probably in good shape.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is providing they are properly dormant. And we had our first freezing weather this past week. Yep. And I talked about it in the newsletter this week about how I deemed this to be a kind freeze, simply because that we had enough cool weather. Things did not go into the freeze all juiced up. We've had enough moderate conditions and cooler weather to begin the process of shutting plants down. And so unlike back in 2019 when we had 90-degree temperatures one week, and then our first frost was a 17-degree freeze, so really devastating. It did a lot of damage to plants. So consequently, we've the 3 nights of freezing weather we had were really beneficial, not in any way injurious. So there you go.
A kind freeze indeed, I believe is what you called it.
I did call it a kind freeze.
Because next week we're not even chilly, right? Isn't it supposed to be really pretty next week, like mid-70s?
Yeah,
a high 80 today.
Now, if you'd been listening to David Bates's
the weather
rundown of the weather, you would know what the temperature
It was daydreaming. That's all right. That's okay. That's okay. I don't take
He was
any offense to
admiring
it.
those beautiful baby Japanese maple trees over there.
right.
Tell us about them.
Let's jump in here for a second.
All right, you go first, Austin.
All right, we got some 1-gallon maples here, which are cool little starter maples,
Darling.
especially if you want to, grow them in a pot on your patio. Say you want to try your hand at a little bonsai. Me and Adam were talking before the show about Mikawa right here, which is the one Adam's showing.
Gorgeous.
It has got a really tight growth habit, and Adam said he has one at his house, actually. And he said it naturally bonsais itself pretty much. It's just kind of a living bonsai.
Yeah, I've had it in the same size pot. It's about the size of a 2-gallon container. And I've had it for 3 years now, I think, and it just stays the same size. I don't have to do anything to it.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those we call like a true dwarf. It's an upright grower, but it's a true dwarf. It's super tight. The leaves are almost like on top of each other, layered. The fall color is stunning. It goes anywhere from yellow to orange to red and almost every color in between. Awesome little Japanese maple. And we've got a number of these still. We've got a number of upright growers as well. This one's called Butterfly. It's a variegated plant, and it shows a little bit of pink fall color, which is really cool. But you can see its growth. It just looks like a little tree, like it'd be out in the yard. I mean, it's in a little 1-gallon pot. This one actually grows kind of fast, too. It's a pretty quick little grower.
Yeah, the only issue with that one that I will warn people about is reversion.
Excuse me?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So what will happen is you'll get this guy in the ground. It'll grow a few years, and something. I don't know. Usually it happens because it gets stressed for whatever reason. It'll send out a shoot of green leaves,
All green.
and it's called reversion because it's reverting back to what the genetic makeup was before it turned into the variegated form. So
And what can people do about that?
Cut it off.
get your pruners out.
Yeah.
Another thing that the variegated maples in general are very susceptible to is excessive heat. They are really very persnickety about that. So if you've got one of those, you don't want to test the margins of the hotter side of the house. Keep it on the eastern location only, or where it gets shaded from other larger trees or structures.
Yep.
Intense afternoon sun is no go for the variegated.
Absolutely
Japanese maple for sure. So, but yeah, these are awesome. We still have a number of these. It's just a cool one to start with. If you've never grown plants before, if you've never grown trees in pots, it's a cool one. Now, if you do buy these little guys and you want to put them right in the ground, put a little like marker or something close to them.
A big marker, maybe 3 concrete blocks around it. They're one bite
The
for
lawn boy will get
lawnmower.
away. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Those are Isley products too. If I can
They
see
are.
from
That
the
is
label.
correct.
It's gorgeous.
Yep. And our most affordable selection of Japanese maples.
yeah, what's funny? These will run you $60. $60 for a 1-gallon maple. You know, when I started here 6 years ago, this same one was $32.99. So that just gives you a little, things are going up. Everything's going up.
Scale.
There's a lot of freight
Yes.
on things
Coming from
anymore.
Boring.
Come from Oregon. So
Yes.
But
And not just anywhere, Boring, Oregon.
That's right.
That's a real town, by the way, that Isley's located in.
Interesting plants from Boring, Oregon.
There you are. hey, do we want to pan down just a little bit there, Tyler, and talk about this floral display?
Are you talking about this?
Melissa? Oh, my word.
Those are awesome.
Whoa.
I told Melissa. So these dahlias are from Melissa McKay, which is our annual greenhouse kind of leader down there. And I told her I was going to give her a shout out today because she's an excellent annual grower, and especially dahlias. Now
They are spectacular.
I mean,
Yes.
just
Really
unreal.
spectacular.
I'm actually about to walk over there and grab that.
And I told her this morning my grandmother would be so proud of her. This business got started on the growth of dahlias. There's a hand approaching these, so you can see the size. Gives you a sense of scale.
Austin's sneaking over there.
There we go.
There he
Oh,
goes.
he's stealing that one
He
out.
stole one.
There's a hole in our arrangement now. Look at that.
Get back.
They'll put it back.
Look at this. It's as big as my face.
Where'd you go, Austin?
I'm gone. I'm
Look how
dahlia
pretty his
gone.
face looks now, though.
I know. Way better. Melissa, you grew this.
That is really awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's
thank
cool.
you, Melissa McKay, for bringing those in today. And my grandmother would indeed be proud of her. That is the kind of thing that my grandmother grew back in the day, 90 years ago, when this business was first just getting started.
Now, do they
That's
start from
crazy.
bulbs or seeds?
They're like little tubers. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little bit different than true bulbs, but I talked to Melissa yesterday, and she's in a lot of like different groups, manual growing groups and cut flower groups, and she's got a dahlia group. And supposedly this year, which makes total sense, dahlias had a rough go. I mean, these are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but she said that her crop was just nowhere near what she wanted it to be, mainly because of drought. Dahlias are thirsty little creatures once they get up. When they're in their bulb form, we don't want to keep them overly moist at all, obviously. But once they start growing and they start getting really leafy, they are really thirsty. So she had a tough time keeping them moist enough to really produce those flowers. But as you can see, even on a rough year, dahlias still produce something like that. So worth growing.
Are they reliably perennial?
Mel Mac Florals on Instagram, by the way, at Mel Mac Florals.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Josh, they are not consistently perennial at all. Even the hardiest varieties sometimes don't come back. So if you want to save your bulbs, if they're in the ground, you need to lift those in the fall.
And you think that's a moisture thing too, where they just rot out or something?
I think certainly that can be an issue, but I also think it's just a temperature thing. I think we just get a little chilly here. But god dang, look at that! Once again, it's gorgeous.
So Melissa has been making arrangements weekly and sharing them with me, where I share on the Bates Instagram page.
Yes.
We call it Flower Power Friday. It ends up being different days of the week sometimes, depending on the hectic schedule that we have.
It's very
here at the
strong,
nursery.
even though it's weekly.
Yes.
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 It's very, very strong.
Good joke.
But I'm here all week.
She does amazing arrangements with unconventional additions.
He is not here
garden.
all week, by the way.
Tip your waiters.
Everyone else here is, but
there's no place to put him in here. Feeding. I mean,
No.
All right.
So shall we resume the questions?
Yes.
Hay más preguntas?
Yes. Is it?
Go ahead.
Is it too late to put compost on my plants? Which I think
We already did that
covered that.
somebody asked that on Instagram too.
Okay, well, no, it's still not too late, even though it's been 30 minutes since we talked about it.
Okay.
It is not too late.
And Miss Mims wants to know if rogue squirrels devour her Halloween pumpkins every year. Any tips to how to keep them at bay? Someone said spray them with lemon pledge.
Interesting.
I would say probably more like spray them with cayenne pepper or
mixture. You can do
because while it doesn't do anything to birds, mammals are very sensitive to the peppery
Don't
smell
use bleach
or
to try
the
to keep
taste.
them
I should
clean,
say.
though,
No,
'cause, no.
I actually like the peppery taste, but I don't think most squirrels do.
No, but don't use the bleach on them because a lot of the wildlife will get them. It's not good for them.
Hey, why don't we pause for just a second here and talk about where we are today, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, and we're here every day. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9 until 4, Sundays, noon until 4, and we now have our new connecting structure, our shade structure that connects the entire front area from the checkout through the tropical area into the shade area, all the way to the perennials and down to the greenhouse area where Melissa, who we've been featuring this morning, where she resides. We're undercover, and in the event it ever does rain, we'll have you in the dry, and at some point it actually will. Certainly it's going to get colder as the season evolves along, so we're looking forward to creating an opportunity for people to come out and shop in a semi-controlled environment where that you can get out and walk around and look at all the pretties we have without having to go outside. So we've got that going on, but in the meantime, we've got everything else you could possibly be wanting for your garden, for your landscape. Trees are pretty much front and center right now. There's a surprising amount of fall color. I actually did not expect it to be as good as what it is, given the dryness that what we've had. But we've got a selection of trees that are really perfect for any spot you've got in your garden, whether it's a shade or ornamental or fruiting tree. We've got all sizes, all different kinds. You need to come check those out. Anything else, if you're looking for natives, Joy Bovin, who heads up our perennial department, is also I would call her our natives champion. She really works diligently with Julie Patterson, our green goods purchasing agent, to have the most diverse selection of native plants available. So if you're looking to introduce some natives into your garden, and you should, She's one you really ought to talk to. And everything else in your garden, we've got ornamental grasses. We've got, of course, the extensive selection still of pansies, garden mums, trees, shrubs, ground covers, all the things you could think of right here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. But what we really specialize in, and hopefully you pick up a little on this show every Saturday, is we've got expertise. We've been doing this. This is our 90th year of business, so we're really appreciative of you trusting us with helping you make the decisions that's going to give you the desired effect in your garden. So come out and see us. We're conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike, which is just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, Nashville West, downtown Nashville. And no matter where you're coming from, even Smyrna, it's worth the drive from anywhere. Check out our website, batesnursery.com. It's right up there on the screen. And everything we sell is searchable and purchasable online. You can even set up delivery. You can buy the things, set up the delivery. If you can't come out for whatever reason, you can do it all right there. BatesNursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. So
have you got fall pansies?
And hey, you.
Yes.
Hey, you down there in Columbia. Or hey, you up there in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
We can deliver to you.
Oh,
We have the range. So if you're across town, we can get it to you.
Yep, absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Next question.
Here we go. 2-year-old dappled willow, only green. How to get the pink back?
water.
How can I be diplomatic here, Austin?
Mow it to the ground.
Yes.
Yes. That is exactly what you need. New
Whack it.
stems. And they go green, y'all. That's the thing. They're only really that pinkish color in the spring whenever they have that new growth. So after they finish with all that growth, they're just going to kind of green back up on you. A lot of plants do that. And dappled willow is certainly one of those as well. But like Adam said, give it a great haircut because the newest stems and the more stems you get, the more pink you're going to see in the spring. So you really got to cut those. I'm telling you, they benefit from it. So
people who have who have red twig and gold twig dogwoods. You're only going to get that intense color on the stems on the current year growth.
Yeah.
So if you leave them successive years, they get woody and you don't see it. So you need to apply the same thing, cut them back severely on the dogwoods. You want to wait until after they have gone through the winter because that's when they're decorative. The dappled willows, you can do it right now.
Yeah, pretty much any time. That plant grows like a weed.
Yes.
I saw one the other day, a great customer of ours, Kelly from Southern Gardens, who's a good friend of all of ours. And she showed me a dappled willow that she planted a tree form for a woman. It exploded. I mean, she couldn't even believe it. She's been landscaping for years, and she couldn't believe how big it got. So I told her exactly what we're telling you now. Get in there and prune it severely back, and you'll really see a lot of pink in the spring.
I'm in year 2 with mine, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that next spring is going to be just amazing.
It typically is. Typically that third season is when you really notice it. Mm-hmm.
All righty, we've got a lawn question, David.
Okay, Josh.
From John Oskatharp, I think. Forgive me if I'm not
Easy for you to
pronouncing
say, but yes.
It sure is. He wants us to recommend fertilizer numbers for a lawn. Now, this is one of those case-specific type of things, don't you think, David?
Well, I don't know what...
Don't know what kind of grass it is.
We don't know what kind of soil it is.
We don't know what kind of soil it is.
we don't know what the light conditions are.
Right.
We don't know whether... it's a lot of... as a general rule, you can pretty much use any type of fertilizer on there. You're not going to, at this late stage, you're not going to gain a whole lot by applying it right now. So I would kind of save my money and wait until
March.
For me, I'd put it on, late winter, early spring, so that you're giving it some boost
after
at that
a pre-emerge,
or in conjunction with it.
So, but unabashed plug for some good old friends.
Yeah.
Go see Dickens, man.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Speaking of unabashed plugs, I forgot to mention this when David was talking about Bates Nursery, but we have in the studio over here a Bates signature arrangement right there in front of Josh.
Okay.
It's got snapdragons in it. It's got lovely grass and even some ornamental, I believe, kale in the front there. Some dichondra kind of trailing out. Cool. They're 40% off right now.
Wow.
At the nursery. We are clearing them out, and we've got quite a few. They're all different and unique and they look amazing.
They're not just unique; they're also different.
Yes.
I mean, truly, each one of them is a differing design. There's one with petunias and like oranges and reds.
They're back
So,
in the annuals, aren't they?
They're back in the annuals.
Yeah.
Check
And
'em
also,
out.
also back in the annuals, we have some giant mums right now, 50% off.
Wow.
I mean, like
Giant.
big mums, and they still have plenty of room to bloom. So just get in there and get them.
All right.
Okay.
Question?
Yes, Fat Albert spruce is sparse at the bottom and yellowing. Transplant shock?
Possibly.
Possibly
Diabetes.
could just be depends on when they planted it. It could be the year we're having. Yeah, I mean,
And once again, conifer shed, and the yellowing might hopefully is on the interior, and it's just kind of shedding a little bit. And unfortunately, the biggest unfortunate thing is that Colorado blue spruce is the state tree of Colorado.
now I will say, Austin, he did say Fat Albert, which
know.
I have a Fat Albert
Do
blue
you?
spruce, and
How
it's
is it?
still alive. I've had it for 15 years.
Sweet. Is
How
it?
big is it?
I planted it was 3 foot. It's about 10 foot now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but it's very sparse on the backside, which because I planted it under a tree, so it would stay cool, which is what you were getting at. The blue spruces, yeah, like he was saying, our Middle Tennessee is not as conducive as East Tennessee.
Exactly.
Is. So
It's very hit or miss. I've seen a
they
few
hit,
really
they-
good looking blue spruce. When they are pretty, they're pretty.
Yes.
I'm going to say that the yellowing is largely contributed to dryness because so many people, and I mean, it's amazing how many people who have incorrectly assumed that because a plant's been in the ground for several years that it's established that they don't have to do anything to it, and in most normal years that would be the case, but this has not been a normal year with respect to precipitation. So we've been especially devoid of it. Your conifers and everything else need water, so water deeply, thoroughly, at length.
It's something to be mindful of going into the winter, since the forecast for drought seems like it might persist through the new year into January. So make sure that you check on your new winter plantings and make sure they have at least some moisture.
right.
Okay. Next question. When do I repot my Japanese maple? It's too big.
For its current pot.
Wow.
Well, do it
Whenever.
now. Why not? I mean, yeah, it's least stressful whenever they don't have leaves. So
This is going to be
Easier
pretty
to
soon.
deal with too. Yeah.
It won't be long at all before they drop their leaves, and then it's a good time to repot it. And then, you want to, make sure you soak it right after you plant it, but then, don't keep it overly wet over the winter or anything. But like you said, we're not going to have a lot of rain. So you want to make sure it stays moist, but not, wet.
Now, a couple of little tricks that will aid in getting it out of the pot. Number one, hopefully it's a tapered container so that it's larger at the top than at the bottom. Two, allow it to dry pretty evenly. Now, don't let it get powder dry, but let it dry enough so that it begins to pull away from the edges of the pot just a bit, and then just gently roll it on the ground back and forth so that gravity will pull that soil away. And then if you have someone to assist you, you can either
I think that's key, having a helper.
yeah, depending on the size of the
Yes.
container, you may be able, if it's really well rooted, just to simply slide it out, because as you roll it back and forth, oftentimes it'll just start working its way out of the pot on its own. So just be gentle, but be diligent about doing those things. Give it. Let it have enough dryness, and as Austin said, once you transplant it, that's when you want to make sure you water it thoroughly,
Drown it.
to eliminate all the air spaces around the larger container that you're putting it in, and also to make sure it's really well settled. So if you do that, it's a piece of cake.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to kind of
go
speed
rapid
it up.
fire here,
Rapid
yeah?
fire. Can I plant my large garden mums in containers? Too late?
No,
I don't think so.
It's not too late. We still got some that are just cracking and showing color. No, go ahead and do it. It's that time, y'all.
Yep.
Okay.
Not to mention the next 10 days look pretty nice with no sign of freeze at
And
all.
we ask you not to mention that, though.
Okay. Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it again.
Okay. Okay to plant paper bark maple, full sun, Central Tennessee.
I think paper bark would be okay with that.
Yes.
Paper bark likes it.
Yeah, Acer griseum is they're you see them a lot more out in the Pacific Northwest,
Yes.
but they seem to be pretty adept at
Cool.
at dealing with the the temperature range we have here. So
We've got a big one on the lot right now, a 20-gallon, the biggest one I've ever seen, paper bark. It's showing a lot of shed with hence the name paper bark. It's got a lot of sheddy, pieces of the bark. So it's beautiful. It is very, very big. Like I said, the biggest one I've seen here. So if you need one, you know where to come.
They're great. They're a great tree.
And they will handle full sun just fine.
Excellent. We got another one. Can I really plant kale and other greens in my raised beds now?
Yes.
Really?
Certainly can.
Really can.
Just a little late, though. You're not going to get full size, probably.
Baby kale.
Now
They charge more for it at the
if you have
grocery store.
raised beds, one of there's a couple of cool things you can do to extend the season. Either buy you a little piece of concrete rewire and make a little hoop house over the top, or take some pieces of PVC pipe and do the same thing. Make you a little greenhouse structure that you can pull a light plastic covering over the top of it, and so when you have severely cold weather, you can attenuate that a little bit and make it less cold. So that will give you a much greater. You might even be able to keep them all winter if you do that.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
All right. And I think, what are your favorite winter plants?
Winter plants.
Winter plants.
Winter's coming.
Well, there's winterberry.
Oh, yeah.
There's winterberry.
Winterberry, holly. David's talking about holly. Those are the ones that drop their leaves, actually, which is pretty rare. But certainly good berry production for those, and good for the birds.
We already mentioned the gold twig and yellow twig dogwood.
Now, I will say, in that vein, you'd be surprised how pretty blueberries are in the winter.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good color on those this spring. This fall.
Yeah, Adam's our blueberry guy here. Their fall color is stunning, and it persists.
Yes.
The cold weather just doesn't knock those leaves off very quick. They stay for a long
And
time.
when it finally does, the stems are
red.
pink and
Pinkish red, yeah.
A Sango Kaku Japanese maple
gonna
with a
say,
red twig,
coral-
particularly as it gets more intensely cold, in contrast with other like blue spruce or other things, it really is really has a pungent color to it.
I like my sage
Sage.
plant. I mean, it does great all winter.
It
long.
does
hangs
stay.
in
You're
there.
right. It hangs in there. Parsley's another one that hang in there through the
How
winter.
about rosemary and thyme?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I would throw that
Good
rest
on
of that in
chicken.
there. We'd already talked about 2 of the 4. Anyway,
Awesome. And how to store outdoor large philodendron for winter.
it's not outdoors.
Yeah, definitely. You need to bring
That's
it in.
true.
Matter of fact, we were at a restaurant the other night where that they have beautiful in downtown Nashville, where they have these wonderful tropical plants, some philodendron, and these planters right outside the door. And of course, the microclimate you get from being in a urban area has really protected them to this point. But that was out front of Hall's Chop House, by the way, which had a really nice dinner there. So if you haven't been there, it's a non-compensated plug.
Did you have a chop
but
while you were there?
I had the bone-in fillet. Is what I had. The
Bone-in
it's
fillet.
really good. Yeah.
I don't see that very often.
Nope.
But anyway, you need to, with the philodendron, you need to probably cut it back. If it's getting large and you got to bring it in your home, probably give it a cut back. Don't be scared to cut off some leaves. They're fine. It's a really hardy little plant. So bring it in your home, give it the best sunlight you can give it in whatever window gives you the best light. And let it be.
Yeah, the good thing about a philodendron is that you can, like you say, cut it back. You can take those cuttings and propagate those really easily. And if by chance you lose the parent plant, you have not lost it all. You can just simply regenerate from those cuttings that you have taken. So that's a really easy plant to take care of. And Caroline would tell you just ignore it over the winter.
Pretty much.
Get it inside and let it get dry between waterings, and you'll be fine with it.
Very, very good. Anything
Awesome.
left?
If she was here.
I think we have made it.
I could not find. I don't have privileges on the Bates page to go find the old one, or I didn't. I was multitasking here as well. But we do have a question from last week that did not get answered. We'll get it answered.
And it's still not answered.
Hold on.
right?
Hold on.
Okay.
I got it.
You got it?
I can hold on. I can get it.
You can get it. But hey.
Okay. How do you get rid of pokeweed? It's completely covered our 25-foot fence, about 8 foot tall. Insane.
Ain't no joke. You got to get them before they go to seed, people.
Yeah,
If they go to seed, you're going to see them next year as well.
Yeah, and by the way, if you see them right now, they already went to seed.
Exactly.
The birds have eaten it and spread the seed everywhere.
I've
Don't
got
eat
poke all in my yard too. I get it. You got to just pull them.
My grandmother said you used to make ink with them.
I know.
And crush up chalk and put the pokeberries in there and make dark blue ink. So there you go.
Me and my brother used to smear them on each other. My mom was furious.
Well, you can, but you can. Can't you eat the new growth?
You got to cook
you gotta
it
be
really
careful.
well. We don't recommend it.
It can be eaten, but it's risky.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Hey, we appreciate you joining us this Saturday morning. We had a couple of comments from some folks that have been watching and listening to us for parts of 2 centuries, 2 millennia, 4 decades. We're going to continue to try to do the show for you.
And we're coming up on 25 years we've been doing this together, Josh.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. February if we make it.
Yep.
Okay.
There's nobody to cancel us.
Well, I will say that both of you. It looks like it's been 25
It
years.
absolutely does. So
we as we always said, we had faces made for radio. So what are we doing here?
I don't know. But hey, folks, we go out to the social media sites and share them and like them and do those things because that's what we're here for. We're going to answer your questions and maybe have a little bit of fun while we do so. Hey, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks from everybody here at Bates Nursery. We'll see you next week.